Okay, today we're going to cover launching or relaunching a client's website. Um, and it's important to understand that if a client has had a website for a long time and it's established value with Google, you want to capture as much as that value in the new website, right? Or not lose any of that value. And there's really two main ways to do that, or there's three main ways. So one, you want to make sure all the copy, all the words are stay on the website in some form or another, because can basically Google reads words. Google can't necessarily watch video, although it's trying. It can't see what an image is, although it's trying. It can look at file names and different tags, but in reality, it's the words that are on the website that tell Google, what the website's all about. So here is an example of a website relaunch. So this is the website right here. This is an old WordPress website for a client, and it's obviously dated in terms of design, and we are going to redesign it. But for now, they just wanted to transfer it over to our Duda platform, which I highly recommend. Going through our Duda training program, the full program, because Duda is just an amazing website builder program, and you're going to see some of that today. Notice how it's not secure. That's an issue. It does have viruses in it. We know that. It's one of the reasons the client wanted to, relaunch it under Duda to kind of clear out all those different viruses. So we've already gone through and built the web page or the website, rebuilt the website in Duda. And let me show you that here. So I'm logging into our websites, and we have the white label, Duda account. So we've created a subdomain of websites.digitaltreehouse.com. We've got our branding on here. I think it's $200 a year around there to do that, to do this white label program. But it's fantastic because when we launch a site for a client, they can see the preview, and they have this nice preview window, and it's all branded very, very nicely under Digital Treehouse. All right, so we've rebuilt the site. As you can see, here's the new site. Here's the old site. They pretty much match. This was a long site to build because we had to move over about a couple hundred blog posts. There is a way to import the media and the blog posts directly into Duda, which Tom will explore in his training sessions when you do this type of an import. All right, so the site's ready to go. So the first thing we want to do is we want to grab all of the URLs from the old website. All right, so what does that mean? So this is a URL, right? This is the main homepage URL, okay? It's the domain too. This is the main domain, but this is the URL for the homepage. The Our Approach page has this appended on it. So it's very important in the new site that the URL matches this, or we have to redirect it. Okay, so let me show you what that means. So if I bring up the full preview of the site right here, and I click here to see the full preview, when I go to Our Approach, I'm looking at the URL down there. It actually would be easier to see because it's not live yet, so it's hard to kind of see what the URLs are actually going to be. But if I click Edit, now I'm in the Duda Builder, and I'm going to go to that page, and I'm going to click Our Approach and click Page URL. It's got to match, right? So it says Our Approach. All right, versus Our Approach here. So that slash should be fine. Okay. So that's what I mean by the URLs have to match. But when you build a new site, you can't necessarily make all the URLs match, or you change pages up, right, or page names. So what you want to do is you want to redirect those URLs to the appropriate page. And let me kind of walk you through what that looks like. So the first thing we want to do is get a software called Xenu, or Link Sleuth. It's a free software. Hopefully I'm saying that right. But CNET is probably your best way to get new software. It's like one of the most trusted places to download software. Be very careful downloading software from around the web, because people can, don't just Google Xenu's Link Sleuth, because you can land on another website where somebody has actually uploaded a hacker file, or not a hacker file, but a spammy, what's the word I'm looking for? A virus. Thank you, a virus file. Okay. Drink a little coffee, and here's the program. So CNET Link Sleuth is what I searched. You just click on this link. You can download it here, and then you want to run the program. All right. Once you run the program, you can go ahead and launch it. And what this program does is, I'm going to bring it over here. It's a very simple program. I'm going to hit File, Check URL. I'm going to grab my main URL, right, the home page, drop it into this file, hit OK. And now it's going through and it's checking all of the links, okay? It's scanning all of the links. And once this is done, it's going to take a while. But once this completes, you can actually generate a report. Now, it wants you to generate an HTML or an FTP kind of upload report. But if you just click OK and exit that, which I'll show you in a minute once this is done, you can get to a PDF of the report. All right, so this is what that PDF is going to look like. So Cap Wealth link report. I ran this about a week ago. And let me bring it up with my other screen. Here's what it looks like, okay? So first it shows you all the broken links. So this is a great way. You could run this report on anybody's website and say, hey, you got a bunch of broken links, which is really bad for Google search. Although there's a ton of software that does that for you, and it looks a lot prettier than this. You know, SEMrush has that software. So I believe SpyFu can run a scan. Moz obviously runs really good scanning software. Raven Tools is another one, which is owned by TapClicks, which is our reporting software. But these are all the broken links. You can see there's just a ton of them. Obviously, we fixed all these links, you know, relaunching the new site. These are old redirected URLs, so this is what we're talking about doing. So 301 redirect, right? So, for instance, this was the URL right here. So 1074, 2 schools of thought on college bills news. So this was a news announcement. And obviously this link was broken at some point, and they just redirected it to this link. So what they did is they put code in the website that tells Google that if somebody tries to visit this page, don't display what's called a 404 page, right, or a broken link, to redirect them to this page. So I think I'm saying that right. Let's check the links. Actually, we'll see. Yeah, we can click on that. So here's the link, and you can see it just. I clicked on that link. It doesn't show a 404 page. It just redirects to news announcements, right? So that's right here. It's redirecting to news announcements, and it's linked from this page. So on this page of the website, there's a link to this page. Okay. And what that means is Google is going to crawl the website and crawl this page, and it's going to find this link, and it's going to try to click on that link. And if it goes to a broken page, that's going to be a bad user experience. So this is basically telling, so whether or not they deleted this old blog post, or maybe it broke, or who knows what happened, they redirected that page to this page. Okay. So now what we're looking for is we want to know all the links that Google has indexed before. All right. So I'm going to keep scrolling down, and here we go. This is the list of valid URLs you can submit to search engines. All right, so these are all the links we want to make sure still work when we launch the new site, and there's a lot of them. All right, so I'm just scanning down. So now we have the list, and the other good thing is this actually shows us our title tags, which I'm going to go through in the SEO video or the search engine optimization video, how to create title tags. But this can actually pull all your title tags. So it's always good to run this in advance before you change a website out, because you're not going to relaunch the old website. So you could potentially lose all this data if you haven't moved it over. Okay. All right, so what I like to do is actually grab all of these links, and I just copy and paste them into an Excel document, which you can see here, or a spreadsheet, whatever document type you want to use. But I drop them all into a spreadsheet, and then I can go through and systematically check if they're broken, and then I can actually add a redirect URL here. So if you're using WordPress, there's a great plugin called Simple 301 Redirects, and then there's another one called Bulk 301 Redirects. If you go through and actually add the new URLs here, it'll go through and automatically, it'll just do them all by uploading just the files. You don't have to go through and do these individually. I believe you still have to go through and do them individually, which is hard because you have all of these pages to redirect, right? Unless you built them out in the new website. All right, so let's close that out. We'll close this out. So we have our link report. We saved it on our folder. So now we can start going through the process of launching the new website. All right, so the first thing we want to do is publish this site. It's actually published live. It looks like it was published under the Digital Treehouse URL. So we're going to just change the URL out. So this is actually the new site. And when you publish a site under your kind of white label brand, it's going to just basically create a subdomain for you. So we want to change that out because we're ready to launch the new domain. So here's the default domain, right? That's that white label domain. So if you ever want to publish a site, the reason you want to publish a site instead of sending clients like the preview link is because you can actually then give the client user access to the published site, and they can make edits if they need to. Otherwise, though, you can just use the preview site. And we've actually had a client that we built a site for, and they never wanted to publish it. They just used the preview link, which worked for visitors. We can purchase a new domain right here, or we can use a domain we already own, which obviously they already own the domain. And then we're going to grab the domain name here. So I'm just clicking Control-C to copy that, or you can right-click and hit copy. And then you want to type it here. So I'm going to paste it. All right, now that's not optimal. We got to take this out. I'm going to take this out, and then we have to add the www. All right, when you're using Duda, you have to make sure you add the www. It says right here. All right, I'm going to hit save. And it's going to tell me my domain is not pointing at my website. And it's going to give me instructions on how to do that. All right, so now I'm going to log into GoDaddy. I'm going to log out of my main account. I'm going to log into the client's account. And let me find that. Let me find those logins. Let me pause the video while I get the logins. Okay, I'm logged into GoDaddy. And they've got a couple of domains here. I'm going to just click. I'm already in domains. It takes me directly to domains. There's a couple ways to get to actually your domains. Don't start typing your domain in here because GoDaddy's main purpose is to, with a lot of their interfaces, to sell you new domains. So you either want to go here and click My Products, which are already kind of under My Products, and click Manage All, or you can try to find your domain here. You can click Manage All. There's a couple ways to do it. I'm just going to click the Manage All button here. Now it's going to show me all my domains. I'm looking for that domain. Let's make sure we have the right one. So, got it. Looks like it's this domain. I'm going to click on the domain. Now I'm going to scroll down to DNS, right? Manage domain name servers. This is kind of how you manage all the different things about your domain. All right, or your records, right? This is where you're going to manage your records. So there's a couple things here to understand. Your A record controls where your website is, right? So think about where, at your website. Where's my website at, right? A, and also the at symbol. So that's basically telling anybody that visits your domain, it's going to say, all right, I'm looking for the website, and it's going to redirect them to this IP address, right? Or this server. So this server is somebody's server that's hosting the old site. All right, and then it's got a bunch of CNAMEs in here. The key CNAME here is the www. So if people go to www, it's basically saying, if you go to www, which is a CNAME, right? CNAME occurs before the domain. So CNAME occurs before here, right? So for instance, like websites.digitaltreehouse.com, websites is the CNAME. And that can point to a totally separate server, right? So you can launch a whole new website under a subdomain. But typically, the www, you want to be the same as your regular website. So it is just pointing to the at. So when you say, hey, all right, I'm visiting www. the website domain, all right, this is saying, all right, go to the at. And then you go to the at, and now it's telling them to go to that IP address. And this all happens in like microseconds, okay? MX records, MX, that's your mail records, right? So this is pointing to Barracuda Networks. That's a spam email control system. You never want to change the MX records for the clients. You're going to break their email address. Right, you're going to break their emails. We've actually had that happen in the past. We wake up in the morning and the client's like, "Hey, we can't get any of your emails," and it was very, very bad. And then there's basically like security and text codes, and this kind of help the internet determine that you do control this domain and that it's legit. And it tells you it helps with spam. So if you do the right text records and you get your records set up right, it's going to help with spam. Another thing to note is name servers, right? So think of name servers as the place where all this information is stored. Okay, the name server is the room, right, where all the records are stored. Okay, so if you think about it like a building, and you think this is the records room, and the records room is located, let's say, in room number NS09 or NS10, so there's a backup, right? There's backup records. So when somebody tries to go to this domain, or somebody's walking through the building, right, and they they visit this room, and they can find out where the domain, where the website is. They can find out where they can find the email, everything. If you change these name servers and point them to a different room, that room could be empty and those name servers could be blank. So in some situations, you'll talk to a client and you'll find that their name servers do not point, like are not GoDaddy. Somebody's actually pointed the name servers to another room, right? Somewhere else. Sometimes it'll be pointed to something called like HostGator, which is a different server. So in that instance, you actually have to find the logins for HostGator, and then you have to set up all the MX records, right, in the HostGator room. Or you can revert the name servers back to GoDaddy, but you might break all the records. So you need to make sure you know what the records are before you do that. One way to do that is to talk to the other company and say, hey, can you let me know what all the records are? We want to pull the name servers back to GoDaddy so we have control of it. Some companies may push back and say, no, we want the client to keep paying us. We're not going to let you pull the domain, or we're not going to give you the records. But as long as you can log in and control the domain, you can always pull the domain back to wherever it's hosted and set the name servers as the defaults, right? And then recreate the room with all the right records. And the one way to find the records, if you can't get help from the firm that currently manages, where the records are pointing or where the domains are pointing, you can go to this service called MX Toolbox, right? And you can look up the domain here, and you see it's MX Lookup. And actually, take these out. It seems to work better. And hit MX Lookup. And now you can see there's our MX records, okay? So now you can slowly piece back together all the different records. Okay, so now that we've covered what the MX records are of a domain and the name server, we've had good news here. Everything's managed at GoDaddy. The name servers, this is domain control. That's GoDaddy's name servers. I just know that from experience. But what I am going to do is copy the records. So I'm going to take a screenshot of the records. I'm going to use Snagit, which is a great screen grabbing software. And why am I doing this? Well, if we launch the new website and something breaks or something goes wrong, I can always revert it back to these records and it'll work again, okay? It looks like I've already done this right here, so original DS records. And I'm just going to go ahead and say original DNS records v2 Feb 13, 2021. Hopefully I'm not dating myself too much. And hit save. All right, now I know what the records are. Let me close that out. All right, now it's time to actually change the records to our other website. So going back to GoDaddy, it's telling you, or to Duda, it's telling you, all right, first change the CNAME www to s.multiscreensite.com. All right, so I'm copying that. Now I'm back in GoDaddy, and I'm going to go down and edit the CNAME for www. I'm going to click edit, and I'm going to paste that s.multiscreensite.com right there. I'm going to leave it at 1 hour, and I'm going to hit save. All right, now I'm going to go back, and it's telling me to point the first @ record to this IP address. All right, so I'm going to grab that, go up here to the @ record. All right, I'm going to point it to this IP address. And then, you don't really need these anymore because these are basically, this is actually one that was used for Outlook and Microsoft Mail, so leave all those. But now you need to create a new A record. All right, so I'm going to hit add. I'm going to select the type. It's A. The host is going to be @ right? So you're creating 2 records like this. And this one has a different number. I'm going to grab that number, point it there, leave that as 1 hour, and hit save. All right, you have relaunched that website, okay? So you've got your @ record's been updated. You've got a second, A record, @ record here, and you've got your www set up. You don't need to do anything else here. It's already saving. And so you're good. Now go back here and exit out of this. And it's already, it already sees that GoDaddy's pointing at it, right? Because it's saying, congratulations, your site is published, and it's starting to generate the SSL. So remember the old site had that not secure. So the great thing about Duda is it automatically generates that secure, right? That lock symbol for your clients. That used to be such a painful thing to do back in the day. But since Google stated that all websites should have the security encryption, which is basically an encryption between the client's browser and your browser to make sure it's secure and prevent hacking. All right, so we're going to close that out. This is actually updating. One thing I do like to check, because sometimes it can get stuck trying to generate the SSL, which could be just a small glitch that's happening right now. I like to go to Site SSL here, and I just go ahead and click Generate Certificate. All right, so it failed to generate. Let me republish it again. New technology, yay! When in doubt, just try again. All right, it's generating, so I'm just going to keep an eye on that and let that generate. And typically it takes a couple hours to generate that. If it takes over 24 hours, you do want to log back in and click this Generate Certificate here. Now we're going to wait on setting up the Google Analytics because I want that HTTPS, I want that secure server to be in place. So we're going to wait on that, and then we'll restart the video once that's done, once we have that SSL. But one thing I did want to show you was now Link Sleuth has stopped, has finished its report, and I just wanted to walk you through. So a secure connection with the site cannot be verified. Would you still like to proceed? So we'll just click yes. Oh, it looks like it's still going. So it's at 4,919 and it keeps growing, but it's 98% done. So I'm going to pause the video until this is done, and then I'll show you exactly what this looks like at the end of the report. Okay, Link Sleuth has finished, and it's going to prompt you to say, do you want to report? You can click yes. It's creating a sitemap. It's taking a while because it was, it detected 5,000 URLs. All right, and then I just clicked abort on the sitemap, and now it's going to ask you remote orphan check FTP perimeters. So Link Sleuth will access your FTP site to check for orphan files. I don't use this. You can just hit cancel on that. And here you go. Here's your link report that I showed you earlier. That's interesting. I've never seen that big black dot. It's probably an ad. So what I like to do is I just right click and I hit print. I'm not sure how you would do this on a Mac, but this is how I do it on PC. I love my right click capabilities on a PC. But I think Mac's got similar capabilities, but I'm going to load it and print it, but I'm going to print it as a PDF, right? Basically what you're doing is just saving it as a PDF. And then hit save. And then it's actually going to convert it into a PDF, which is what we looked at earlier in our files here. And there's our PDF popping up there. Just hit save. So that's where I actually grabbed the URLs from before. And I would save this on file so you have this in case anything goes wrong in the future. All right, so now we're just waiting on our SSL certificate to finish installing, and then we can go in and set up Google Analytics, and we can redirect, or we can set up new sitemaps. So basically telling Google and Bing, the new sitemap for the website. And that's a fairly simple process, but again, we have to wait for that SSL to get installed, or I think that's best practice. Okay, so we've been alerted that the SSL certificate has successfully installed on our website. We can actually click on this and check, and we'll see. Sure enough, we have our new security badge right there. So let's jump back to our website, and we can install our Google Analytics and finish the launch. All right, so we're back on our Due to Website Builder here. I'm going to click Edit on the website we were working on. And one thing I realized I didn't show you was where do you actually do those URL redirects? So I wanted to show you where you do that in Duda. Click on Settings and URL Redirect right here. So you can see where we've already added all of our redirects. And again, the point of this is if you launch a new website that had all these different pages, right, these different URLs, and Google has indexed all these URLs, and then suddenly you launch a new website where all of these URLs are no longer working, right, because you didn't build those pages on the new site, that's really a red flag to Google, and it's going to break a lot of the pages that Google used to see that existed. So what we do is we add this redirect, right, which redirects this page, the old URL, to the news page, or this URL, which was asset management about our models, to just the new page about our models because the URL is different, or this URL, millennial advising, to the new page, millennial advising. So the destination page is here, and I can show you kind of what that looks like. When you add a new one, you just add that trailer URL. So if I go back to our URL redirect Excel sheet that we created with link sleuth. I can grab the old URL. Let's pretend it's this one. And what you do is you go all the way back to just that /. Okay, and you grab that. Go back here and you put that, drop that right in here. And actually, you don't even need to get that /. It's already in there. And then you choose where you want to send it. Okay, you can send it to any of the pages that you've created in Dude. It'll give you the list here. Or if you want, you can send it to an external URL. And Doodle will not give you the actual different blog posts as an option here, so you have to actually direct those to an external URL. Okay, so that's how you set up those URL redirects, which we've already done. So I'm going to cancel that out. The next step is we want to set up Google Analytics, right? Because we've got this new site, and we want to create a new Google Analytics account for it. So I'm going to go to Google Analytics. So it's just google.com/analytics, or this whole new URL, but I've always just typed google.com/analytics, okay? And you want to sign in, and now it opens it in a new tab, so you can close this old tab out. And then we want to, let me just jump over to my account, just because I don't want to show any accidental data. Okay, so let's assume we just landed in Google Analytics and logged in. And if you don't have a Google Analytics account, all you need to do is create one. It's really easy. And a lot of times it helps to have a Gmail account. So like I've said probably before, I like to have a single Gmail account, for all of my Google assets, such as Google Analytics or YouTube, Google Drive. It helps or logging into services with a Google login. So it helps to set up just a Google Analytic or a Gmail for your business to log in all the different Google assets. All right, so you go to Google Analytics and you just want to get down here to admin, and you want to create a new account. Okay, and so this new account is going to be, let's get back in here, Cap Wealth. So we'll call it, click on that, Cap Wealth. And I always just say yes, share everything. That's fine with me. Make the data better if possible. The property name will be Cap. So this is kind of like the actual property, like the website. So this could be capwealthgroup.com. Or you can name it, Cap Wealth website. I'm going to put it on Chicago time because that's central. And hit next, and the category is business. It's a medium-sized company. And how do we plan to use analytics? Measure customer engagement, optimize the site. Yep, we may be using it for these. Measure lead generation. All right, create. I'm going to accept the terms. I accept. All right, now we're still in the admin section, right? We're still in the settings. And it's going to kind of walk us through, a stream is a source of data for your property. So it wants to set up a stream. So one property can have multiple data streams, each coming from one platform. You can view this data in reports and analysis. So it's a website. Let's go ahead and drop the URL here, and then we'll get rid of this. And we'll make sure that's HTTPS. It is. Stream name can just be, Cap Wealth website. And we want to do enhanced measurement. We want to measure as much as possible. And we're going to create that stream. All right, now it's going to help us install the tag. So here's the tagging instructions. So we can add a new on-page tag, or we can use an existing on-page tag. We're going to add a new one. We can use Google Tag Manager, which we've talked about in another video. For this, I'm just going to use the global site tag. I'm going to copy it, and it says place it into the head section, right? So then I'm going to go back to our website. I'm going to go to settings. I'm going to go to head HTML. Now the body here is first. I'm going to skip that, and I'm going to go to the head HTML. So this has some code in it for design. So we just want to go, don't ever paste any code inside another code. So HTML code always begins with these brackets, and like a tag, right? So style, this is the style tag, and then this closes that tag. Okay, so that little / in there basically close it. So that opens it, and that means anything in this code is for this style tag, and then this closes it. So we want to go one below that and just paste our new tag. And here's our new tag. It's a script, right? This is fine. You can leave this code in there. And then it's script's opening. It's talking about what it is. It's Google Tag Manager code, and there's the closing script, and we're just going to hit save. All right, so now that code is in there. I'm going to republish. I'm going to give that a second to republish. There we go. So that's republished. Now, we can test it. So what I like to do is open that I'm right-clicking that, and I open in a new incognito window, right? So this is like a window that doesn't detect your browser settings. And there's a couple. I noticed there's a couple issues with that first slider. It's a little cut off there. So I'm gonna be zoomed in. Let me check. Yeah, I am zoomed in a little bit. But we'll go back to our development and we'll get that fixed up. But let's keep that open, and then we're gonna go back to Google Analytics. Now we're set up, so we don't need to save this or anything. This is the stream we're measuring, and we're going to click on real time over here. It's the clock, and I actually should see someone logged in, and there it is. That's me. I'm logged in from Brentwood. I'm actually more over here, but so we know that it's working. The tag is working, so we're good here. What we can do is come back eventually after this has gathered some visits, and we can look at the events, which are the different page views, and we can start marking things as conversions. For instance, if we look at the cell phone seat, we can start seeing first visit, page view, scroll, session start, and if we wanted to, we can mark these as conversions. Okay, now that we've got that done, we've got our Google Analytics set up. Now we want to go to what's called Google Search Console. So if you just Google it, so Google Search Console right here. And this is so the difference between Google Analytics and Google Search Console is, which Google Search Console used to be called Webmaster Tools. Google Analytics is like a view inside your website. Google Search Console is a view outside of your website. So this is how Google sees activity on your website before people get to your website, right? So it's going to tell you how many times your website's showing up in search results, what search terms are leading people to seeing your website, how many people are clicking on your website, and so on. And then and it can actually tell you problems with your website as well and why perhaps it's not showing up in search. Once people click through your website, then data starts being reported from Google Analytics. Now people are inside your website and they're moving around and going to different pages. So that's tracked through analytics. So setting up Google Search Console and Google Analytics gives you a really good overview of how people find your website and then what they do once they get there. The Google Analytics is also a way to submit your sitemap to Google and kind of tell it that your site exists. Whenever you relaunch a website, you want to relaunch or you want to reset up. You're not really setting up Google Search Console. It just exists. You need to claim it. But you claim that access to that website, and then you can tell Google, hey, I've changed the website. Here's the new sitemap, which Google uses to kind of index the site. You don't have to do this to get Google to index a site. I mean, you could tweet a site URL and Google would probably see it and index the site. But this is best practice once you launch a new website to go ahead and tell Google, hey, here's the new sitemap. Okay, so we're going to click on this little drop down here. Click Add a Property. You can either add it by domain and potentially make changes to the domain name itself, or you can just add it, the URL or the website URL, which I'll grab right here. Now, because we've claimed Google Analytics already, it knows we verified via Google Analytics, right? So it already knows that we have access to this website. So it's going to give us access to the property. So we can go to property. So now we've claimed the property. Now what we want to do is go to sitemaps, and all of our data sites automatically come with a sitemap. It just always ends in sitemap.xml. And there's our sitemap. We can grab that. We can submit it right here. And Google's going to start indexing that. All right, we got it. So now Google is indexing that. And let me show you what happens like after, a website's been indexed for a while. we find, we just stick in, we can use cell phone seat again. So we can do overview. And now you can see like performance, coverage, valid pages, errors, mobile usability, core web vitals. I love to look at performance, and now we can see the last 3 months. Let's actually go, last 16 months, and you can see kind of the growth in impressions and clicks, average position, click-through rate. So, obviously most of the clicks are for the branded search, but it's also showing up for phone seat, Kickstarter cell phones, seat phone holder, car seat phone holder, car seat cell phone holder, chair phone holder, seat mount. So these are the different search terms that it's ranking for. All right, so some just really good data. Now you can actually look at the pages here. You can see what pages are showing up and how many in the search engine and how many clicks they're getting. You can look at the different countries where the website's showing up. You can check out devices. Again, this is a view from the outside, so this is a view from search engines. This is not like inside. So this is basically saying 513 people saw the website URL in search on their mobile device and 32 people clicked it. Search appearance. So sometimes it's appearing in product results, sometimes rich results, sometimes web light results. You can do some research on those different types of results. Obviously, product results is the shopping results. Rich snippets could potentially be, maybe where Google is giving information. I'm not really sure about those last two. And this is just kind of goes by dates, which I've never actually looked at this one. And it looks like you can filter by some different things here. So a lot of robust data. You can even use this to figure out errors, things that are wrong. So this is where you come and find that you have a bunch of 404s, right? So those broken pages. And you can grab the data, and you can grab those URLs and actually redirect those and then mark those as fixed. This is talking about different places linking to your website. So external links, internal links inside the site, top linking sites linking back to you. These are all kind of your backlinks. Looks like it has like 242 different backlinks, which is good. So, or 336. All right, so Google's kind of telling you that. And then you've got some settings here you can look over. Like I'm the verified owner. We can add some users if we need to. If we need to add people here, shows you when it was added, how many crawl requests. If we moved it to a new site, so if we actually changed our URL completely, we could tell Google. I've never even seen this. We could tell Google that, hey, we're going to move it to a new URL, which is typically bad to do when your website's ranking well. So that's Google Search Console. So we've submitted the website to Google Search Console. Now we want to go to Bing. So now you can just search Bing Webmaster Tools. And here it is right here. And again, I'm going to log in through my Google ID just to make it easy. And I'm going to click on this drop down, add a site. This is kind of neat. You can just import your sites from Google Search Console. So I'm going to do that. It's going to actually find all the new sites that are not yet in it. And I've got 3 new sites there. I'm going to go ahead and add all of those. You're not able to fetch data from your Google Search Console account. Please try again or add. So that didn't really work. So let's just manually add our website. There we go. All right, let's cancel that. Let's try adding a site, and we'll put it right here. Let's get rid of those extra lines. Oh, it's not letting me do that, is it? All right, that's fine. Site already added. Okay, now it's really being finicky. So now let's find the site since it said it was added. Maybe that's just to search it. There it is. And looks like, I probably, because I've worked on the site before we built it, I probably already added it here. So now I just want to add a new sitemap. And looks like it's already got the sitemap. So we are good there. Okay, so that's pretty much it. So let's cover what we did. So we went to the old website. We used Link Sleuth to grab all the old URLs, and even get a list of the meta titles. We then, after obviously we rebuilt the website in Duda, we launched the website in Duda. We made sure we launched it under the www. We redirected the domain A record and the www name to point to the new site. We redirected all the URLs inside the website from the old website to make sure it pointed to a working page in the new website. We waited for the SSL to get installed by Duda. Once the SSL was installed, we set up new Google Analytics, or if you have old Google Analytics, you can set up, use the code from the old one and reinstall it on the website. And we also set up Bing Webmaster Tools and Google Search Console and made sure the sitemaps were submitted to those, so both of those search engines know, the layout of the new site. And that's it. So good luck relaunching and rebuilding your clients' websites in Duda if needed, and relaunching those successfully without affecting your SEO.